Arvada has certainly had a rich history, from the gold find in 1850 to our reputation as the celery capital, to the trolley, and now the G line. We've always been on the move. The gold find was back in 1850 that a group on its way to California for the gold rush, and they stopped down here on what came to be known as Ralston Creek, because Lewis Ralston was the man who found a little bit of gold in his pan as they had stopped there. It was the first documented gold find in the state, and it didn't set off the gold rush at all. That didn't happen for almost another 10 years here in Colorado. But there were other people who followed them out here, not in searching for gold, but just the general settlement of Colorado at that time. This was very fertile land, and so they entered into agriculture, primarily crops. So that became the principal occupation. The principal founder of the city is Benjamin Franklin Wadsworth, and he was in partnership with a person by the name of Reno, and the two of them platted out the town. For the first 40 years or so of the development in Arvada, it was relying upon the ditches and wells before we finally had a water tower and a water system. The trolley came through a town where there was service, a pretty frequent service, many times a day, to go travel between here and Denver and Golden and the town of Leiden. And that trolley ran until 1950. When we look at our more modern history, over time the footprint or the built environment of Arvada has changed very significantly through the addition of new houses. We have now 4 police stations, a number of fire stations, the Apex Recreation Center. There are just so many new public buildings over time, which kind of defines the city, but also is a result of the growth of the city. The west side of town has truly developed in the last 20 years or so with the developments of the 5 Parks neighborhood, Candelas, Whisper Creek, Leiden Rock, huge housing and commercial developments on the west side of town. So we've been able to build to the west and northwest and still preserve the mountain views to the west. Another factor I think is truly important is the development of our parks and trails system within Arvada. We have something like 150 miles of trails, 100 parks, and some of the newest and best parks are truly unique, such as the dog park, Long Lake Ranch Sports Complex, which deals with soccer and other sports, Ralston Central Park, very close to the midtown of Arvada. We have parks such as Britton Park on the east side of Arvada. One of our postmasters here in Arvada, an African-American man whose name and family heritage can be celebrated in the name of that park. Our goal has been over time to place everyone within about a 10-minute walk of a city park. And I think we've pretty well accomplished that, so we've got a wonderful park system. I think what I like best about Arvada, much of our history is captured in the names and the locations of our parks and our trails, so that when we talk about the Ralston Creek Trail, it makes us think back to Lewis Ralston. When we talk about Wadsworth Boulevard, Wadsworth Bypass, we think back to our founders. If we should walk through Old Town, we will still see the old buildings that have been here for longer than a century, as well as new development that has been made possible through the Arvada Urban Renewal Authority. For me, it's important to remember the history because our city didn't come to be what it is today by accident. There was a lot of planning, a lot of vision, a lot of decisions that were made over time. And as we look back on those decisions and the vision that people had, we learn what was most important to them and what their contributions have been to the way we see our city today.